Before I speak on today's topic, I would just like to take a quick moment to say thank you to all of you who have graciously subscribed to the channel. You doing so is a great help to me, and I appreciate it more than you can ever know. So, again, thank you so very much for your support, and now let's get to the video. Throughout the past few years, there has been much talk coming from modern activists concerning their belief of the need we have in our society to embrace the message of fairness through their promoting of DEI standards. But do their actions and words really demonstrate a desire of fairness for all? Or are they simply using the message of supposed fairness to manipulate society into giving them an unfair advantage? Well, let's talk about that. Hey, welcome back to Enough with the Crazy. On September 16th, Bruk-Jackson, a 21-year-old woman that was born in Harare, Zimbabwe, won the Miss Universe Zimbabwe pageant. Now, considering the fact that Zimbabwe has not been a part of the Miss Universe pageant for about 22 years, one would think that this was a big deal for her country. And it was. But as we've all come to expect, many liberal activists are enraged by Miss Bruk-Jackson's win. And why are they enraged? Well, according to the multitudes of disapproving messages on social media, it's simply because she is a Zimbabwe native who happens to be white. And as usual, the hate is centered around the supposed unfairness of a quote unquote white person beating out a black person. So, where is the validity of the diversity message being regularly preached to endorse fairness for all when the real issue being exposed throughout all of the hate is simply that she isn't black? As an example of the animosity expressed, one user on X wrote, "The white people in my comments saying diversity this, diversity that, can go SMD. Miss Universe Zimbabwe should have been a black Zimbabwean, and you can't tell me otherwise." On Instagram, three different users wrote, "Zimbabwe returns for the first time in over 2 decades and they crown the whitest person alive? Yeah, I don't care for that. The girl who won is not representing the majority of Zimbabwe. See, she is white skin. Meanwhile, Zimbabweans are black color of skin." And lastly, "Too white to represent a country of black people. She does not represent our country. She's a foreigner." Now imagine the outrage that would have come if a white person would have made any of these same statements concerning Miss Pamela Uba, the first black woman to win the Miss Ireland pageant in 2021. After all, in accordance with the criteria these haters hold to concerning Miss Bruk-Jackson's win, wouldn't these types of racist comments have been equally fair for white people to express, as Ireland is a country whose population is approximately 92.5% white? So, to the rationally minded person, the message of diversity is a good message because, without exception, everyone should be treated fairly. Everyone should be held to the same standards of opportunity and accountability. But when you take the time to really consider how fairness is defined, you discover that the rule of fairness cannot be fulfilled when it is expected to be given without regard to the situation or of the individuals involved. Allow me to explain. If the rule of fairness is defined as everyone should get the same opportunities and advantages regardless, then as a matter of fact, the idea of fairness itself becomes unfair. For example, take a person who chose to work hard in school to attain a higher education for the potential benefit of gaining a high paying job as an adult, a job that would provide said person with a very comfortable lifestyle. Next, take a person who chose to not apply themselves at all within their schooling to become educated. Now, say that both of these people, as adults, applied for a high paying, top level corporate job position that required a strong educational background. If the concept of fairness means that regardless of each individual's qualifications or lack thereof, the one who isn't educated enough to fulfill the job requirements should be able to get the job just for what is being claimed as equity, then the idea of fairness becomes unfair to the one truly deserving of the job. And think about all the different things in our society where this is proven. After all, does our society believe that a person who isn't muscular should win a bodybuilding contest? Do we believe that a woman who isn't culturally considered beautiful both internally and externally win a beauty contest? Should an untrained actor get the starring role in a big budget movie over an established movie star? Or should a racist be the head of equity in a private or government position? And what about those who endorse this false message of equity? What if they were to be passed by for a promotion and pay raise because it was given to someone who didn't do as much as they did? Would they be happy about it, or would they complain about how unfair it is? True equity isn't defined as this everyone should equally get the same message being promoted today, regardless of a person's qualifications. Fairness dictates that anyone who actually qualifies for the win should be the one who wins, regardless of their ethnic background. And whether it is in attaining a job or winning a competition, this rule should apply. When the lovely Miss Uba won the Miss Ireland beauty pageant, there was no hate. She competed with other women for the crown and she won. Congratulations to her for her win. I'm sure that it was well deserved. Yet when the message of equity becomes race dependent, a white woman who competes with other women and wins the Miss Zimbabwe pageant is raged upon because it is considered racist. True equity means that within the actual circumstances of a person's life, they should have the same advantages and opportunities as anyone else within the same sphere of qualification that they share with others. In other words, if a person has wasted his or her opportunity to educate themselves by neglecting their schooling, whereby they then cannot qualify for a top level corporate position, then in whatever job they do have, they should have an equal opportunity to advance as much as is possible according to the skills they both possess and demonstrate. That is how true equity exists within the defined standards of fairness. Yet, this isn't what many DEI activists are promoting today. They want people to believe equity means that despite the standard of fairness, everyone, regardless of their circumstances, should have the exact same benefit as everyone else. Can you imagine how destructive that philosophy would be to a society when those who don't work hard for something can equally get the same as those who do? Who would work hard anymore? Who would apply themselves to receiving a higher education if they could have it all without having to qualify for it? How would our society grow and advance without people who are educated enough to bring about new medicine or technology? So, in light of this, if what many of these DEI activists are preaching is clearly hypocritical because it is evident that their true intent isn't really about equity for all, then shouldn't said hypocrisy be exposed and those who promote it be rebuked for the sake of true equity? And shouldn't everyone who agrees with the accurate revelation of what equity is intended to accomplish turn themselves away from supporting the hypocrisy of what many are promoting and then focus on supporting only those who are seeking true equity for all? The answer, of course, is yes. But the problem that interferes with our country establishing a consistent standard of true equity lies within how gullible many people are to believe what it is that these hypocrites are preaching. You see, I believe that this redefined message of equity being promoted today finds its power in the endorsing of a victim mentality, a common condition nowadays that is being exploited to further the liberal agenda. I also believe that liberal leadership and activists purposely promote equity in that manner because they know that through that avenue, they can take advantage of those who feel slighted and both gain their support as well as secure their votes. Now, to explain why I've come to this conclusion, I first have to define what a victim mentality is. According to a WebMD article dated February 3rd, 2022, it states the following: someone who acts from a place of victimhood claims things that happen to them are the fault of someone or something other than themselves. It might be the fault of their partner, family, co-worker, friend, or quote unquote the way the world is. They frequently complain about the bad things that happen in their lives. They are reluctant to take personal responsibility, asserting that the circumstances aren't in their control. So when I listen to those who argue that we are not a country of equity, what I mostly hear them claim is just how unfairly many in this country are being treated, how they don't get the same opportunities as others, and how they really have no power over their circumstances. But is that true? In fact, can't that be said for almost everyone? Isn't life about everyone sometimes getting what they want and mostly not getting what they want? How many times have you wanted a promotion but someone else got it? How many times have you wanted to buy a better house, a bigger car, nicer clothes, and sadly, maybe even enough food, but couldn't because you didn't make enough money to be able to afford it? How often do any of us really get to have all of those things that we want? Although it is true that many people that are deserving of something may not get it because others don't play by the rules of fairness, the reality is that we all experience that. And because of that, what we all end up with, for the most part, is only that which we apply ourselves to and work hard for. Real life just isn't about giving us the things we want for nothing. In many instances, those who forcibly argue and promote this modern interpretation of equity don't focus upon the individual's responsibility to make the right choices in their lives and to work hard to achieve those things that they want. Instead, these activists promote that despite not making good choices and not working hard for the things they want, they are still owed, that they should still get the benefit that comes from good choices and hard work. But in actuality, no one who has applied themselves to making good choices and working hard for what they have is going to accept this concept of those who simply refuse to choose well and work hard getting everything handed to them. There isn't any one young person in any neighborhood who doesn't have the equal opportunity as anyone else to choose to be educated by applying themselves to their studies. There isn't a single person in any city that doesn't have the same opportunities to work hard within their chosen field to move up and make more money. Today's message of equity has been redirected from its true meaning of a societal structure wherein opportunity is available equally for all within the realm of their own qualifications. However, it's important to note that in true equity, opportunity is also strictly dependent upon the individual's own willingness to do the right things that give him or her the best chance to attain the benefits of said opportunity. Yet, despite this, the message has now become how an individual is not responsible to apply themselves to studying in school to become educated and then not working hard at a job to make a living. This redefined message being promoted today states that an individual should have the right to willfully make all the wrong choices, yet still get to have the equal benefits of those who make the right choices. And of course, this type of message is very popular among those who simply refuse to take accountability for their own lives. So, where this type of deception leads such people is to a place defined extremely well by Bill Maher in one of his programs when he says this: I think the younger generations have a real problem with wanting to build their identity around being a victim. They want to have racism to fight, not fight racism. Have racism to fight so badly that when it's not there, they make it up. And this brings us to why it is that everything has become about any quote unquote white person achieving something that they worked for. In this particular case, Miss Bruk-Jackson is a born and raised woman of Zimbabwe and someone who seemingly loves her country. But that's not acceptable for these people who promote this false equity. The accusation of racism has become the scapegoat for why personal responsibility should not be required of those who just want everything handed to them. It has become the justification for those who want to believe that they deserve to have all the things they want without having to work for it. And unfortunately, with every new generation that comes, this ridiculous notion seems to become even more prevalent. So allow me to end with these two things. First, I'd like to read you a quote from Thomas Sowell, a man who I personally believe to be one of the great thinkers of our time, and who so beautifully encapsulates the utter idiocy of what this country is having to endure through the foolishness of this redefined DEI movement. He says this: historians of the future will have a hard time figuring out how organized groups of strident jackasses succeeded in leading us around by the nose and morally intimidating the majority into silence. How perfectly accurate a prediction this is in light of how the majority of this country, although still rationally minded, continues to allow the overly embellished position of these few radicals to control our environment. Which leads me to the second and final thing. Despite the seemingly socially incorrect position it is anymore to stand up for both the truth and for those who achieve something that they worked for regardless of their race, let me boldly say, congratulations, Miss Bruk-Jackson, for winning the pageant. And yes, even though you are a white woman. So feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this type of content, would you hit that like button and take a moment to share this with others? Most importantly, would you kindly consider hitting that subscribe button, as that would be a great help to me in growing the channel. Hey, as always, I'd just like to say God bless you, and until next time.